Kia ora koutou. Let's get this thing started. Well, no mai haere mai. Welcome along to yet another fantastic Right Online live Q&A. If this is your first time along to a Q&A, welcome along. If you've been along before, welcome back. We have a fantastic group of folks to join us today. Our wonderful consultants will be answering your questions, and today the topic is accuracy. We want to be able to make sure that the information that we are writing and reading is accurate, that we're not going to be falling prey to misinformation or disinformation or disinformation, whatever it is. So today is about you, is for you. We're going to be answering your questions live. And a reminder that this live Q&A is brought to you by Right Online. What is Right Online? Well, if you haven't heard, Right Online is Right's collection of micro-learning videos that you can watch at your own pace. There are a whole bunch of topics on pretty much anything that you could think of to do with writing, communicating, using information, thinking, all sorts of different topics. If you're at all interested, and if you're watching the Q&A and you like the sound of what we're talking about and where we're coming from, go to Right Online, that's right as in writing.co.nz, and you can sign up for a free trial. All right, consultants, reveal yourselves. We have 3 consultants today, and that means that you get extra value for money for your $0 for coming along for free. This is a wonderful gift to you. So I'm going to introduce our consultants now, and first of all, I'm going to start with Ryan Tippet. Ryan, tell us a little bit about yourself and where you're joining us from.
Yeah, kia ora everybody. So my name is Ryan Tippet. I'm part of Fright's documents consultant team, which means I'm working primarily editing and writing documents day to day, wide range of stuff, pretty much anything really. My background for this subject in particular, I got my PhD in communication studies down here at Otago. I'm based in Ōtepoti, Dunedin, and I've also worked in comms and media for local government. So a lot of these sorts of themes are pretty relevant in their work history.
Great. Kia ora, Ryan, and thank you for joining us. South Island represent. Okay, Jacob, tell us a little bit about yourself.
All right. So yeah, I'm Jacob. I'm one of the trainers at Right. Day to day is delivering workshops. So I do a lot of the writing workshops to help people write in plain language, but then also our critical thinking workshops. So getting people to build some skills to make sure that what they're writing is good quality.
Fantastic. Kia ora, Jacob, and where are you joining us from?
I'm in Wellington. Beautiful Wellington.
Headquarters. Beautiful, rainy Wellington. We love it. All right, and Rika, our final consultant, tell us a little bit about yourself, Rika.
Yeah, all right. Kia ora koutou. My name is Rika, or Friederike, and you can hear I'm from Germany, possibly from my accent. I'm in the office right now, and I'm also a trainer like Jacob. I also do critical thinking. My background is in academia, really. I did a PhD up at Victoria University in linguistics and applied linguistics. And I also was a lecturer at university for a while. So my background comes from research. Linguistics sort of sits a bit in social science, humanities, a little bit between everything. So it's drawing on all of that. So I think that's a good thing or place to be.
Great. Lovely. Thank you for joining us, Friederike. Okay, well, shortly we're going to get into the questions, and these are the people that you get to talk to today. So if you are online and you have a question about anything to do with today's topic, you'll see down the bottom of your Zoom kind of bar thingy there, there's a Q&A function. Click that, enter your question in, and we will get through as many questions as we possibly can today. No promises, sometimes we get way too many, but if you are interested, please put it in there. Don't use the chat, put it in the Q&A, okay? Now, the first question that we go through in all of these live Q&As is our top tips. We want to make sure that you can, within the first 5 or 10 minutes of this webinar, get some absolute gold that you can take away already. So because we've got 3 magical consultants, I've only allowed each of these consultants 1 tip to be able to share with you. So but combined, you're going to get your 3 top tips. Okay, I'm going to start with you, Ryan. If you were going to give your one top tip to the folks who are watching, anything that will help them to deal with information, whether they're reading or writing, they just want to get things right, one tip that you could give across, what would it be?
Yeah, I think it might sound sort of obvious, but just knowing where your information is coming from, that you're taking your information from reliable, dependable sources, that it's sourced correctly and accurate. I mean, it kind of, you can take that almost an infinite distance, right? Like if you want to fact check every single scrap of information that comes into your life, that's going to be challenging. But if you're, writing highly researched, like really important reports that's using academic sources, then you might take it quite far. You might look at the methodology used in journals or the ranking where academic information is published. If it's more about just sort of negotiating your like daily news feed and trying to identify what's true or false, then I think it's more about creating a sort of short list of reliable news sources that you follow each day. And overall, just nowadays in particular, being highly skeptical, I think, of information that you come across, especially online. And yeah, knowing how to verify information if it seems too good to be true or a little bit unbelievable, it very possibly is.
Right. Okay. I mean, that's a huge one. There's so much to explore in there, so we might get into a little bit more depth there. But folks, there is your top tip number one. Okay, Jacob, top tip number two on this topic. What would you say?
So my thinking is over the course of a lifetime, I think what is going to make you more accurate will be being really cautious how much you hold yourself as an expert. I think the less or the more of an expert you become, I think you run the risk of being quite rigid in your beliefs, and you may end up being unwilling to potentially change your mind over time. So, for example, if you hold the belief that all academic sources, if you use that, then that's good. You might not be doing your due diligence to figure out that some sources might not be as credible as other sources, just simple kind of things like that. So I think always be willing to take on new information and be willing to change your mind all the time.
That must be tiring. But it's the
Yeah.
right thing to do, isn't it? Okay, great. And Rika, to round off the top three tips, if you could only give one tip, Rika, what would it be?
I think I'll go with something that sort of aligns with what Jacob says, and that is to know your mind and know that you are biased. So be aware of your biases. We are all biased. There's not something inherently wrong with you if you are. It's just how we work. And you just can't despair, but just deal with it. And sort of be aware that you're biased, and then find out where in particular your biases sit and how you can best deal with them and counteract them as you write or produce content or deal with content.
Mm-hmm. Right. Hey, Rika, what would be an example of some really common biases that we would see?
So I would say like something like confirmation bias, that we just really want to hear reflected back to us that we're right anyway in what we already believe. So that, if something confirms your opinion, you're much more likely to believe it. That's a big one, I would say. I mean, there's other very common biases like anchoring bias. The first thing that you hear will sort of lead on to you interpreting everything in relation to that. So that one seems most convincing to you, and then everything else you start relating to that. So there's quite a few biases like that. And yeah, if you're leaning towards something, just be aware of that and look at the methods you can use to counteract that.
Cool. Great. Very helpful. Okay, lovely. So, folks, if you're watching at home, if there's anything that our consultants have said so far that you want to know a little bit more about, you can submit a question, put it in the Q&A function down the bottom, and we will get through as many as we possibly can. Now, let's get to our first question. So a lot of us are looking for information, and one of the most common places to look for information is online. What are some common red flags to look for that might indicate a source is unreliable or accurate? So there's going to be all sorts of different signs that we're going to be looking for. What are the most obvious that just is like big red light flashing, don't go there. What are the types of things? And I don't think it's bad to state some of the obvious things. Ryan, you get a couple, and then Jacob and Rika.
Yeah, I think when you find yourself on a website that you've never heard of before, and it seems to publish about 1 million articles a day that don't have any byline, there's no authorship, and it takes about 1,000 words to answer the question that you've asked, then you're probably looking at some kind of like content aggregate site that just whips up 1 million AI articles. Those are deeply unreliable. If you find something in there that is the answer that you're looking for, I'd suggest looking somewhere else to try and confirm it before you run away with that piece of information.
Cool. Okay. Jacob, what would you say? Red flags.
Yeah, very similar. Other add-ons like no publication date, maybe, and lots of ads, for example. Maybe very sensational and emotional language. Number 5 will surprise you. Might be one. Or just sort of emotionally trying to pressure you into something. Like we are gonna die if you don't believe this. So really sensational, strong emotional language without maybe any evidence to back it up, no references, no pointing to other sources that actually establish that this is true.
Great. And Jacob, anything to fill in the gaps there?
Nothing to fill in, but definitely adding, especially to what Rika's saying, I think it's just worth noting that people are incentivized to create things that you want to engage with, and nothing engages people better online, especially than if it gives an emotional reaction. So just being really cautious of that, and I guess accepting the reality that sometimes the credible, trustworthy information is just not very sexy to read. Sometimes it can be a lot plainer than something that really gets you fired up.
Right. That's a very good point to add, actually. And so here's a flip to this question, and I'd be interested in anyone's take on this one. Is that if we're wanting to say we've done our due diligence, we've done all our research, and we're trying to write and put across what we've got in a very persuasive way, how do we make sure that people don't mistake it for what you've just described? What are some techniques? What are some things that we need to do to make sure that our writing isn't seen as something that might be sensational or biased or what? Anyone want to start on that one?
Yeah, I think like it is a little bit our brand, but writing in plain language does help a lot to communicate clearly and sort of show people that you're not taking too much of a stance on something. And the sort of inverse of what Rika said, trying to avoid overly emotive language without making writing boring, but make sure it's clear. And I think sort of more broadly, if a piece of writing it feels really muddled in terms of the structure of it, like there's no clear thread or thought to it, it kind of gives you the sense that something may not be based on the strongest foundation. So again, the inverse of that, making sure something's structured really clearly and you have a really clear thesis to it, communicates to your reader that you know what you're talking about.
Cool. Lovely. All right, anything to add there, Jacob or Rika?
Yeah, I would just say, like, you as a reader know what you want to see, so also put that in your writing. And that's the things that Ryan said. Use evidence. Don't sort of manipulatively frame your points. In a way that is trying to get people on your side, but it's not accurate. Just be honest, clear, and use evidence.
Timeless advice. Lovely. Okay, so folks, now you know a little bit about what flags to look out for if you are researching online. Okay, let's go to another question. Someone is very interested in some of the personal biases here. So the question is, what are methods to counteract personal biases? So maybe if we start from as a reader. No, let's go as a writer. You're a writer. You want to present a balanced opinion. What are some things that you can do to make sure that what the information that you're giving out is not biased, or it's as close as you can do? Rika, you get to start on this one since this was linked with your top tip.
Well, I think it's the same for reading and writing. Like, don't jump onto something. Like, I think if you want to be really honest and clear. You need to slow down your thinking. You need to slow it down both when you're reading and accepting information, or when you're dishing out information. So slowing down your thinking and deliberately looking at a point from different angles, and not just going with your emotions, which is what drives your biases, is a good way to go. So like sometimes people call it Socratic method, like really analyze your point, whether you're sharing it or whether you're wanting to accept it, and look at it from different angles, look at the underlying assumptions. Are they actually also true? And do they lead to the conclusion that I'm seeing here? And check other things as well, like what evidence am I providing? Is my reasoning behind it if I'm sharing it? Do I just really like it, but it's not true? Same for the writer. Like, are they having other motives than just, sharing a fact? Yeah.
Lovely. Jacob?
I think that honestly, I think that you can't really do critical thinking by yourself. I think you have to get other people involved, especially if we're talking about bias. I think you'll know some of them, but having someone else kind of check what you're saying and your line of thinking and what you want to do and why you want to do it, they can help you with a lot of the blind spots that you are absolutely going to have. And the longer you wait in any piece of work, whether or not you're researching or you are preparing a piece of work, the longer you wait to get someone involved, you run the risk of going way too far in the wrong direction. So I would say get people involved, and get people involved early, all the time.
Great. Lovely advice. Ryan, anything to add there?
Yeah, I think it sounds really unfun to consider other viewpoints sometimes, and like have to go and read someone saying that what you think is wrong. And it's not always particularly enjoyable. But the reason we do it is because it actually strengthens our argument a lot more if we know what the opposing view is, and we can account for that, and we can respond to what those criticisms might be. So don't shy away from it, but make sure you're actually acknowledging and strengthening your argument by considering other viewpoints. I would say there's kind of a trap to fall in here, I think, where you approach a topic as having two sides, when a lot of things are more complex than that. There's more complexity than just 2 points of view, or the different viewpoints are not equal, are not equally legitimate. I think, for an example, like talking about climate change, that's been sort of made into this two sides argument in news media for like decades now. That clearly one side is backed by evidence and another side less so. So presenting those as two opposing sides that have to be kind of married or have to acknowledge each other is a bit of a trap. So you still have to think critically about it, I think, when you're engaging other viewpoints.
Mm-hmm. Go, Rika.
I just want to support what Ryan said. Like also before, like it's still like you're not doing anyone any favors if you're not trying to poke holes into an argument first. Like if you're sharing something overexcitedly, or if you're accepting something, you're not doing anyone a favor by just not criticizing it first. Because once you've criticized it, like in a workshop, I often say like, okay, tell your neighbor, and now the neighbor will poke holes into it, and that's not to be mean, but because at the end you have a stronger argument. Like it stands the test of your neighbor or of other people questioning it and looking at it from different angles.
Yeah. Can I actually add to that as well? I think in the spirit of like getting other people involved, I think the culture that you have with your friends and your family and your workplace around giving feedback and critiquing each other, I think matters heaps too. Because I think everyone has this, everyone knows someone that they wouldn't want to challenge because they might react poorly. So I think if you yourself respond really well to being challenged, and you respond really well to being told that you're wrong, and kind of modeling that behavior with all the people that you're sharing ideas with, everyone will feel more encouraged to kind of have more of a positive spirit about checking each other's thinking. The critique, exactly what you're saying, Rick, is not a bad thing at all.
Great. Okay, we're going to move on, folks, and we do still have some time for a few more questions, so get them in the Q&A. We're getting through them as fast as we can. Let's talk about AI, artificial intelligence. It's a whopper at the moment. The question here is, AI gets a bad rap for being inaccurate. Should I use it at all when it comes to research? So maybe let's do a two-part of this one. Part one is what are the dangers of using AI as a research tool, either as a reader or a writer? And then part two is what should you use AI for? Like what is it good for? So maybe a couple of warnings. Jacob, you want to start on this one?
So I've seen people use it as a research tool to summarize the information from sources. And I think when you do that, AI doesn't think. AI doesn't understand the real world. So if you're asking it to pull out 3 or 5 key pieces of information, it won't know what is relevant or important information for your context. So you might miss either really good arguments, or you might miss that later on in that source, it undermines the argument that you're trying to make. So even if you're using AI to do research kind of for you, you still have to read the sources and check what they're saying.
Rika, something for there? What's a thing to avoid with AI? Just a warning for using AI as a research tool.
Well, I would use it to get ideas, but I wouldn't trust it. And since I seem to be talking about biases all the time here, it's not an entity, you know, it lives off whatever information is out there. So whatever biases we put in, it will bring out. So it's not suddenly unbiased just because it's a technology. So yeah, whatever biases are out there will come, it will tell you. I've seen that quite a lot. So yeah, it's not smarter than what goes in as input.
Okay, Ryan, you get the last one on this. You can either give another warning or you can segue into what should we use AI for?
What about, yeah, wow, I'll try to do both. I think it's interesting that Jacob and Rika both sort of brought up the element of trust, which I think is where AI sort of falls down, and is also actually kind of instructive for us as human thinkers and writers as well, because we know these AI tools are really impressive 95% of the time, and then that other 5%, they kind of make something up. And that 5%, even though it's only sort of 1 in 20 facts they might give you, because there's that risk of that coming through, we kind of can't trust them to do our work for us in a lot of ways. Like Jacob said, we can't trust them to summarize a report because it may miss the things that we think are key facts. And the same kind of goes for us as writers and thinkers as well. If we're right 95% of the time, but we get something spectacularly wrong, that other 5%, we kind of lose a bit of face, and there's kind of a reputational hit there. So it's sort of just a link to why this topic is important in general. But I do think AI tools have a place. I'm on a journey with AI. I'm grappling with it. You know, I'm sort of broadly against it because of what I think it means for sort of humanity and culture and art and things. But I'm beginning to understand how it can be useful. I think it can be used in research the same way you might think of using Wikipedia. So like, it gives you a summary, it gives you an overview, a little bit of background. You can sort of get your toe into a topic without necessarily citing it or taking it as absolute fact. And the other thing it does is it sends you in the direction of primary sources that you can actually rely on. You know, Wikipedia has those little references, and likewise, most AI tools now can give you sources for their information, so you can verify things yourself. I think you can think of them as in similar ways, and they both are flawed in similar ways. Wikipedia, because anyone can contribute to it, and AI, because, like Jacob said, it's not actually thinking, it's just sort of guessing and pretending to think.
Okay, Rika or Jacob, you get that we're into now. What do we use AI for? Hey, what is it good for? What do you say, Rika? No, you go, Rika.
Yeah, I just want to also respond or like add on to Ryan, because I think a good thing, what it's good for is to give you ideas to explore a topic. But I was just thinking about the warning that I wouldn't maybe use it immediately as a first step, because it might limit your creativity. Like you might get locked into the ideas it gives you, and you might no longer use your own creativity to explore a topic. So it's both like, yes, it can give you really good ideas, but also maybe fast use your own sort of lateral thinking before you get locked in by what it tells you.
Good warning. Okay, Jacob, you get the last word on this AI discussion. Either another warning, another thought, or what do you use AI for in a positive sense that it's good for?
Um, it's a massive question. I think I'm with Ryan. I think, and I think everyone should be kind of. I would encourage everyone to play with it as much as they can, especially kind of in your personal life. With really low stakes, low risk things, just see what it can make, see how it handles information, sees how it deals with questions that you kind of already know the answers to, or you just want kind of maybe a quick check of your thinking, or dive into a topic personally before trusting it wholeheartedly professionally. I think it's always safe to um, be really cautious with it as a tool. Treat it more like a power tool, I would say, than like a regular tool.
Like a real punishing drop saw. Great for a
Yeah,
clip.
yeah. Be
And
very careful with it.
yeah. Okay, Rika, go on.
Can we just add that one, like me and the biases? But
Yeah.
of course, the information it draws on is can be biased. But also, since we just recently had a chat about this, whoever codes the algorithm, right, like can put a bias into that, and we have had recent examples of that. So again, there might be another source of why the information might be skewed in some way. So be aware of that as well, that someone might want to influence you, and then information comes out that you didn't expect, and that it isn't actually quite factual.
Yeah, and are two different tools giving the same outputs, I think is also worth checking too.
Mm-hmm. Great. Okay, let's finish up on techniques that we can use. So we've talked about a few things to do with biases. These might be online tools. These might be just thinking tools or ideas or diagrams or really simple things. What are some things that people can use wherever they are if they're writing a report and they want to check themselves? What kind of techniques would you encourage? You can each suggest one, or if someone wants to take it away and take a few, go for it. Who wants to go first?
So I can share first, if you like. So I guess my thinking is around when you're writing and trying to create spaces and ways for people to be able to challenge and critique and build on your ideas. I would say if you're writing something, really make sure that your sentences are really short and have no more than one idea. Because if you've got long run-on sentences, no one knows what you're saying. Same thing, short paragraphs. And then third thing would be put key ideas into headings wherever you can, wherever it's appropriate. Just make it really easy for people to engage and understand what you're trying to communicate. Because if people can't understand it, they're not going to read it, and no one's going to know or be able to challenge your ideas to build on them and make them really high quality.
Fantastic. Well said. Okay, so that's great for when you come to writing and presenting that information. Rika or Ryan, are there any kind of thinking tools that you might use? Rika, you talked about slowing down that initial phase, not getting too carried away with something in particular. Is there something you might recommend to people to slow them down, or a thing they can think about, or a thing that they can do?
I mean, there are lots of different tools to slow you down. You just have to embrace that it slows you down. Like in our workshops, for example, we use planning questions at the start, and people go like, "Oh, am I not wasting time?" And I would say, "Well, you're spending 5 minutes to then later save 5 hours." So everything that actually slows you down for a moment is really useful. Anything that sort of draws on a Socratic method of questioning. Do I really know what I'm talking about? Do I know the assumptions I'm basing this on, and are they true? And what are the implications of this? So all of those kind of methods are really great. Like we use a few in our workshops, like decision trees or fishbone diagram, to sort of understand what's the reason for a problem. And so I could mention a few, but really anything that gives you a slow, deliberate thinking process before you jump in, I think is really useful.
Lovely. Okay. And Ryan, the last thought is yours on this one. Techniques that people can use if they're writing to help them clarify their thinking, check their thinking.
Yeah, I mean, I think this kind of builds on what Rika was saying, and it does sound slightly like schizophrenic, but I've said this to people before and they know what I mean. And that is, listen to the little voice in your head that tells you something doesn't quite add up here. Like, I think, I know it sounds crazy. Often when you're writing, though, there's this part of you that knows what I've got here doesn't quite add up. There's a small problem, and it's so easy to sort of drown that voice out, because if you let it speak too loudly, you have to go back and think about something again, and you don't want to do that work. And actually, you need to kind of tune into that voice and hear it out and go, okay, what is the problem here? Okay, now I know what it is. I can fix this. So listening to the little voice in your head while you're writing, it sounds crazy. It's real. Tap into it. It's helpful.
Great. Lovely. All right, folks. Well, that was our last question, but hold on, because we're going to have our final thoughts from our consultants, the little voices that are coming out of your computer right now. But remember that this Q&A has been hosted by Write Online. There is heaps more content that we have to show you. If you're interested in what we've been saying, you can find out more and more and more and more and more, and you can try it free for a week to see if you like it. Go to writeonline.co.nz and sign up and have a look through. There are over 20 of these Q&As on different topics. There are dozens and dozens of videos on different things, and you can watch them all at your own speed. Okay, I'm going to pass it to our consultants now for their final word, and then we're going to finish up, and we'll go in reverse order. So Rika, your final thought, what's something that you would leave people with today?
I think just with what I just finished before, do critical thinking, and critical thinking is slowing down and doing deliberate thinking rather than rushing in. So slow yourself down, and then later you can be more sure and confident.
Lovely. All right, Jacob.
So don't just listen to the crazy voice in your head. Get other people's crazy voices involved as well.
Lovely. Okay, and the final thought is yours, Ryan.
Yeah, I think just be highly skeptical of things you see online. Even video now can be completely fake. If something seems a little bit off, try to find a reputable news site that's talking about it to verify it.
Lovely. Okay, so now your homework, folks, is to go back and fact check everything that we've said today using the techniques that we've got. But no, I hope that's really helpful for you. Thanks to those of you who asked questions. It's lovely to see you all, and we hopefully will see you all at the next live Q&A. Thank you very much to Ryan. Thank you very much, Jacob. Thank you very much, Rika. Thank you for your time, and we'll see you all again. Ka kite anō.